You're listening to From the Press Box.
Alpha RX Plus. Alpha RX Plus is one of the sponsors up from the press box to press row. For more information, you can visit them online at alpharxplus.com. Alpha RX Plus has a 96% success rate in ending erectile dysfunction. And for Boxtorow customers, if you log on to alpharxplus.com now, they have a 10% discount to Boxtorow customers. All you have to do is go to the checkout page and type in BOX, the number 2, ROW, to receive the 10% discount. Again, visit Alpha RX Plus on their website at alpharxplus.com. I'm Donal Ware, celebrating 10 years of From the Press Box to Press Row on the air. And the movie Straight Outta Compton certainly is still very hot, as a matter of fact. And, my next guest, and, after I had a chance to go see Straight Outta Compton, so I had, I'm riding down, I'm kind of hyped up after the movie and so forth. And I had, of course, the album No One Can Do It Better by my next guest, and was pumping that all the way home. My next guest is the one and only D.O.C., and he joins us here on From the Press Box to Press Row. Doc, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you a lot, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Let me start here. Your thoughts on the movie, as I'm sure you've had a chance to see it.
It's a great movie. I think those guys did a great job, and they really deserve all the great things that are happening because of it. I think it touches a lot of different people from different age groups and different racial backgrounds because, it's a nostalgia piece. So I'm really happy for everybody involved that it's done so well.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the parts that I think is important, and you could tell that, you had some people, or, certainly F. Gary Gray really knew what he was doing, was the part when they focused on you, obviously your character in the movie after the accident and so forth. I thought a very significant part of the movie.
Well, they touched on it. It would be difficult to tell that story without including that part, because that accident was a pivotal a point in hip hop. The road switched. It switched directions that night. Everything changed that night, and so not only was that like a precursor to Dre and I figuring out we want to do our own thing, but that was the end, basically, of the No One Can Do It Better D.O.C. as an artist. I'm sad to say, it was a horrible night for me, and probably the start of, I don't know, maybe 5 or 10 of the worst years of my life, probably.
Man, I am sorry to hear that, because, when you think about, and I said this, DJ Yellow, I had a chance to talk with him last week. I cannot really overstate how tight the album was, and you, obviously, as well. What they didn't talk about in the movie, obviously, you're talking about Compton, and you're from Dallas. How did you even hook up with NWA?
Well, that was at the beginning of the movie, when they were in that club that Lonzo owned. There was another DJ that was involved in that club who moved to Dallas shortly after job at a local radio station. His name was Dr. Rock, and he was the biggest thing that happened to Dallas since, sliced bread back in 86, 87. But he knew Dre, and so when he got successful, he called Dre down to be a guest on his radio show, and that's how Dre and I hooked up.
Well, that the voice of the one and only D.O.C. joins us here on From the Press Box to Press Row. Let me take you back first to, obviously, the album No One Can Do It Better. You guys you really had a different sound. You guys were really onto something. I think one of the songs, one of my favorite songs on the album was Beautiful But Deadly, with the whole guitar and all of that. I don't know if people really got that, but that was an awesome song. Man, can you just kind of speak, obviously D.O.C. and the Doctor, the formula was off the chain. Can you kind of take us back to the time in the making of that album?
Well, during those days, man, everything was so hectic. We were moving around so much because I think a couple weeks after I got to California, we went in the studio. I went in the studio for the first time, and we won easy that day. Dre pulled up this beat, and he says, can you write something to it? And I said, sure. It took me about, 5 or 10 minutes. Back in those days, I was fast. Right. And that song was done. And when we won easy was done, everything, it was like a gunshot. Everything started happening so fast after that. We were in the studio every day for the next, 7, 8, 9 months, and we cranked out 3 albums in that time, and in between doing shows every weekend. And so a lot of my record I wrote on planes, on buses. Dre would say, hey, man, I had an idea. For instance, Dre said, I had an idea. He came back from the movies with Michelle A. and said, I had an idea. You were doing this song called The Formula to a Marvin Gaye beat, and he played me the Inner City Blues song. And I just sat and wrote the song right there on the spot. That's really how my album happened. It's a lot of weekend visits, and we didn't spend a lot of time on my stuff. It was just super easy, and we did it super fast.
Wow, and I know you mentioned obviously everything changed after that, but you did put out you've put out a couple of albums even since the accident. With the writing part of everything, you mentioned with No One Can Do It Better, everything was easy. Was it still that way with the projects that you put out even after the accident and No One Can Do It Better?
Well, I'm a writer, so writing is always going to be easy. The thing that was difficult was facing the fact that I didn't have my superpowers anymore, so to speak. Before pre-accident, my voice was really pretty special. I could do damn near anything with that thing, and so rapping post-accident, it was more difficult for my psyche than anything else. I could still write with the best of them even today, but I don't have the vocal strength to really pull it off. Although I will give you a bit of an interesting thing for your show. Maybe people can talk about it since it's in Detroit.
Sure.
About a year and a half ago, my voice started coming back on its own. And if I concentrate,
I can speak with a natural speaking voice again.
Wow.
Fuck you up, didn't it? I don't have the power that I had, but I have the voice. It came back. I don't know what's going to happen. Like I said, I was actually in prison when it came back. Look, I'm going to tell you something. The NWA movie is a fantastic story. It was a great movie. But if I told you, I sat here for hours and we talked about my story, it would really freak you out. But long story short, I had to spend some time locked away because of mistakes. And while I was locked up, the voice came back on its own. And I can't tell you why it came back or what anything was about it, but it came back. And
Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't.
you know, it just depends on where I am and if I want to freak somebody out or not.
Yeah, no question about it. That's the one and only D.O.C. He joins us here on the program. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter at West Coast D.O.C. Are you, Doc, in any pain? Does it pain you to talk?
No. I've actually come to terms with it, and maybe that's why the other voice came back. You know, for a long time, I led a real destructive lifestyle. You know, because it got taken away from me. You know, a whole lot of drugs, a whole lot of alcohol, a whole lot of women. You know, a whole lot of desperate to try to cover up that pain. Like you didn't get to see any of that in the movie. They didn't. Matter of fact, the movie didn't show you any of the dark sides of that world that we lived in during those times. But you know, God willing, if I get a chance to tell this side of the story, you'll be able to see. Like there's a lot of really crazy things that happen, a lot of really up things, if you'll excuse my language, that was going on during those days. But show business is a rough business, man. You got to have thick skin, and you got to be a strong person mentally to really be able to deal with this world. But I made it through, man. I made it through, and 30 years later, they made a fantastic movie about it, and I'm really happy for those guys.
Yeah.
I support them 1,000%.
We're celebrating 10 years here on From the Press Box to Press Row. We're also celebrating the present, an exclusive interview with rapper the D.O.C. More of the interview after this small pause for the cause. We want to respect the time and your time, so a couple of more thoughts, and we do appreciate it. Obviously, I mean, you're the pen behind the Chronic, other albums. I mean, if it's not for you, then there is no Chronic in the masterpiece that it ultimately became or is. I read the piece that you did with DX in 2011, and man, the piece was so real. It talked a lot about your relationship with Dr. Dre, et cetera. What is you all's relationship at this point?
You know what? Because I respect Dre so much, I want to leave that question open because it's great today, it sucks tomorrow, and it'll be great Thursday, and it'll suck Friday. It's very, we're really we're a lot like brothers, and we fight, and it just is what it is, and he's a very prideful guy. I'm a very prideful guy, and I don't believe in bowing down to anybody. I wouldn't give a damn who it was, and I have my own thoughts and my own feelings and ideas, and if I feel like I'm right, then I'm going to stand up for it. And I don't care who it is. You could be Obama. If I think you're wrong, Obama, I'm going to tell you about yourself. But that leads me into this part of what I really wanted to say while I have this moment.
Sure.
The movie is a beautiful and splendid thing, and it should be celebrated. What we did as young kids was amazing. One of the staples of that movement was the F the Police song, right?
Right.
What no one seems to be really dealing with is the fact that that was 30 years ago when we were telling America, quote unquote, look, I think you've said they feel like they have the authority to kill a minority. That was 30 years ago. That was 30 years ago. And now today, these guys are doing that in record, like, at an alarming rate. It's really out of control, and it's really gone too far for America not to wake up and say something or do something. She needs to get off her ass and deal with that, you know. Like, systemic racism is a horrible thing, and not everybody's a racist, and not all people are bad. But if you sit quietly and watch the take place as if it doesn't really affect you, then you're a part of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really time for people to get off their asses and say something about it, because it's bad. You know, not just it's in Baltimore, it's in Arlington, Texas, it's in Ferguson, it's everywhere. You know, and so I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I really just wanted to speak to that point because it means a lot to me that America get a hold of herself and check herself, because that shit is dead. It's dead ass wrong.
Wow, very, very well said. Very powerful. We definitely need your voice back and with that piece. I totally I'm not belaboring the point, but I totally understood where you were coming from on that DX piece, and that was 4 years ago. With that, Voices Through Hot Vessels that's, I guess, what your album that you're working on. Is it coming out? What's next for you?
Well, I think it's time to do, like, I've never done anything based on myself. It's never been my thing, but now I think I want to do a documentary because there's so much I want people to know, and I really want to be able to give it to them in an artistic way. And this movie got me really crunk up about it. So I think the next thing that I'm going to do is a documentary. I think I want to do an album and attach it to that documentary. And I think I want to do at least one or two songs on that album myself with the new voice I got. You know, I'm going to try to make that voice work and see what it feels like. You know, take it for a test spin, so to speak. And if I can make that thing hum, then, you know, the sky's the limit. The D.O.C. will be back in the picture.
I know that's right. Now, you were at one time, at least what I was reading, contemplating a surgery in Italy. Is that still going to happen?
No. I mean, I went to Barcelona, Spain. That's another reason why I want to do this doc. I did all of this shit. I went over there and sat in these people's chair and let them poke me. I filmed all of this shit, you know. And it was just too dangerous a thing. Like, nobody could tell me what was going to be the end result, and it was just scary. So I didn't do it. But thankfully, I didn't do it because 2 years later, the voice came back on its own. You know, but like G.O.D. is something else, man. He showed me that it's all his thing, and it's not my thing, it's his thing. It's not my voice, it's his voice. And it's going to come back if it comes back when he wants it to come back. Right. And so now
I can sit on this telephone and have an open-ended conversation with you or anybody else, and the voice doesn't have to be something that is going to freak you out.
But then again, it might be something that'll freak you out because it all depends on which one I feel like using. You know what I'm saying?
Right. That is awesome. And lastly, D.O.C., and we appreciate the time. I know you got to be a big sports fan, right?
You damn right.
Yeah, because I was, and I don't know the context of the conversation, but I noticed when I pulled up your Twitter page here, you said something about LBJ. Enough said. What was that? I don't know the context of the conversation, but you know, I guess you're a LeBron James guy.
LeBron James followed me, bro. That's like the biggest thing since popcorn for me.
Wow.
You know, LeBron James followed me on Twitter. Are you kidding me?
Well, wait, well, yeah, but DOC. But they should. Everybody should be following you though. If you're into hip hop, everybody should be following you though.
You know what? I when I was a young guy, and another really powerful piece is coming out. I don't want to speak too much about it because Drake gets mad when I talk about it. But there's another powerful piece coming out that'll explain that he's putting out that has a lot of me in it. That'll explain to you the person I was as a young man. Like, I was really an arrogant guy as a young guy because I was young. Like, I was like Muhammad Ali to those guys in California. And I was just being myself, but it could have come across to those guys as I was being really super arrogant. And my ego was super overblown. But in Texas, that's just how we talked.
Right.
You know what I mean? I came to the studio every day and told those dudes how great I was, how lucky they were I was there. Because now we can get it, you know. And they didn't like that very much. But the more alcohol I had, the funnier it got for me to do it. And I did it better and better every day. So they saw me as being a real arrogant dude. So nowadays, I really try to take the inverse of that and try to be as humble as I can, man. I think humble is the new sexy. And so, yeah, the D.O.C. is a blessing, but I'm really just a lucky dude. I'm actually very blessed to even just be alive today. I got an 8-month-old son, and he makes me the happiest person on this planet. So even though I don't have all the money that these other guys got, you know, I got my son, and he makes me really happy. And this voice thing has come back. This movie has given my life sort of an infusion of energy as far as career goes. So maybe I can go out here and get this money for me and my son. But from now on, I think humble is the way I want to play it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I definitely understand that. But me as a fan, one that is, you know, pushing 41, I remember all of that, the formula, the video, and all of that. Man, it was just an awesome time. I did mention we got off on LBJ, but now, so are you? I mean, from Dallas, I'm assuming what, Cowboys fan, Mavericks?
Baby, you better believe.
Well, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan for sure.
Okay,
but Mavericks, I'm a LBJ guy, you know, so I go where you go.
Okay.
I was in Miami when he was in Miami. I'm in Cleveland now. You know, LBJ is like Jordan for me. Wherever Jordan went, he was a fan of that team. So wherever LeBron go, that's where I'm going.
Okay, understood. Now I'm a Skins fan now, so you know.
You a what fan?
Redskins, all the way.
Oh man, get out of here! Tell him I do love that. I love RG3 though. I love the guy. Love him. He tried to do too much too soon, and it broke him down a little bit. But you know how the system works, man. They're gonna try to push that dude into the ground because he doesn't fit their mold, you know. But the guy's a stud. He's a star, and I'm hopeful that he'll get off to a good start. But he's in my division, so you know I still want him to lose.
Yeah, I understand. Now I think he's gonna give it to you on Monday night, December 7th, and then January 3rd.
He ain't gonna give a He ain't gonna give a He ain't gonna give a He is going to catch some problems with them stars. You gonna see them stars like you in cartoons when them stars go around your head when you get hit, but it's gonna be real helmets.
Oh man, that is great. That is the voice of the one and only D.O.C. who joins us here on From the Press Box to Press Row, and you can follow him on Twitter at West Coast D.O.C. Again, Doc, indeed a pleasure to speak with you, man, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you real soon in some of the big projects that you're working on.
Pleasure is all mine, brother, and everybody in the city knows I love the city. it's like a second home to me. I spent a lot of time in Flint, and Breed is like my brother.
Yeah. We appreciate it.
Pleasure is all mine, brother.
Wow. An exclusive interview with the D.O.C., the first time you've heard him use his voice. Got to pay some bills, going to step aside, come back. We'll discuss more of the interview with the one and only D.O.C.